Hello, movers. I am Coach Howe. Today we are here to tackle our level 1 rocker recode. I would ask that you go ahead and follow along with me in this video, but if you want to just watch it, check it out, see what it's about, see what movements we're going to get into, that's totally fine. But this is a follow along recode video. So let's get ready to move. I myself have a mat. You can use a yoga mat, soft carpet, whatever padding you need underneath your knees to make yourself comfortable. We will be on the ground the entire time during this recode. Another tool that I have available by my side is my couch. This is an elevated surface that I can rest my hands, arms, elbows. My upper body can fall into this place so I can find more pressure in my hips and my backside safely. If you have a couch, a bed, a wall, a chair, whatever it is, let's find a support system that we can utilize during the short recode. We're going to be doing 3 rounds of rocker variations. It's going to be a total of about 15 minutes of movement. And once again, the few tools we need are just some padding for your knees and an elevated surface. I will go through a couple of rocker variations to show how we can utilize these resources to our best ability and to find the most engagement in the backside. Just remember, as you do follow along in this video, our main prerogative, our main goal is maximum amount of engagement in our backside, our lower back, our glutes, our hamstrings, lateral calves. You can get even some movement into the feet here with a lot of intention pushing in through the floor. So let's go ahead and get started with alternating rockers. We'll then go into a single side isometric hold. Then we'll rock into that single side and finish it off with a pigeon in that single side. We'll then get back into our alternating side to side rockers and knock out the other hip. We're going to do 3 rounds of this. Let's get ready to move. I've got my timer set here for you, so once again, just follow along and let's get ready to move. We're going to start out here in our alternating rockers, meaning that we're just going to bounce back from one hip to the other. We're going to try and find, once again, maximum amount of engagement in our backside to get ourselves ready to move. I'm going to start here with elbows and chest resting on my couch. I've pulled down the cushion here to elevate myself even further. However tall or high you want to be in this position is totally up to you and your body. We just need to find the position that we can put ourselves in to once again find the maximum amount of engagement in our backside, in our hips, lateral hip, glute area, even the hamstrings back here. So as I rock back and forth side to side here, we're going to give this just a minute to warm our hips up. We got about 15 seconds until we're going to jump into a single side hold. I'm going to switch things up a little bit and I'm going to give my left hip some love to start out. So let's get ready to jump into this left side and hold it. I've found my left hip. I'm just going to go ahead and put my hand on my glute here just to give my body a little bit of extra awareness. I'm taking my shin bone, my ankle on the top of my left foot and driving that into the floor, even feeling as if my knee is driving down through the floor, and I'm taking my glute and my hip here and I'm not doing a hip tuck, but I'm pulling that glute down and back, really finding maximum amount of engagement. We've hit our 30 seconds here, so I've really found engagement in this left hip. I'm gonna start rocking it out. Just really trying to wax out and scrub any area of this hip that I can. These don't have to be big rockers, big movements. We're really just doing some subtle rocking here, finding that left hip and staying engaged. A couple more seconds here and get ready to, if you want to, you can shift the feet from 6 o'clock to about 5 or 4 o'clock. Let's lift up this right leg, bring it over to the back, and we're going to come into our pigeon hold. I'm going to get my hands in front of me, make sure my support is giving me the support that I need. I'm trying to get nice and tall out of this left hip, so we don't want to be bogged over. Let's try and continue to keep this pressure in the left hip. Get nice and tall out of here. We are holding this pigeon for a full minute, Got another 30 seconds here. Feel free to make any micro adjustments that you need, whether it be tailbone coming a little higher to the sky, tucking down and back, whatever adjustment you need to continue to maximize the pressure in the backside while growing tall and long out of this position. We're almost done with our first set on our first side. Let's go ahead and get ready to come out of this nice and slow, and we are going to jump back into our alternating rockers. Just kind of giving both hips some love. You might find that after a little bit of movement in that left side, if you chose to go to your left side like I did, you might find that both hips are feeling a little bit more different now, which is totally okay. That left hip's found a little bit of open space, got some activation going on. And as I rock back side to side here, alternating hip from hip, really just going nice and slow, working on transferring that energy from one side to the other, practicing this loading from one hip to the next, as we would in our walking and running. And we're easing up here on 1 full minute of this side to side rocking. We're gonna get ready to find our right hip. So we're into this right hip now. Once again, I'm gonna go ahead and give myself some love. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this hand on my right glute. I'm gonna take my feet from 6 o'clock, bring them over to 7 o'clock. Really lean in here and really jazz up this right side. Still doing an isometric hold. If you want to lift the adjacent leg off the floor just an inch or two and really feel that right side load, we're going to start rocking into this right hip now. Once again, never a bad idea to continue to stay tall while we're trying to get these movements done. Always trying to get as tall and long as we can out of these shapes and positions that we hold. Really just creating space for the hips and the low back. And let's go ahead and pick this left leg up. We're gonna bring it on over, set it down, and sit into this right hip on this right pigeon. Using that support to stay nice and tall. We wanna make sure we are staying engaged and loaded in this right hip. We are never letting go of that pressure. We're not letting go of that loading in this right hip. If you want to, once again, we can drive that shin and ankle bone down through the floor on that right leg. Continue to help pressurizing this right hip, making whatever micro adjustments in the tailbone or low back that you need to make. Bringing this chest nice and tall. Trying to pack my right shoulder down, bring my right ear taller to the sky, getting a little stretch in that neck and shoulder area. Nonetheless, my glutes are lighting up. We are feeling this. Nearing the end of our first round here of our level 1 rockers. We're gonna go ahead and get ready to pick up this left leg. We're gonna come out of here and jump right back into our alternating rockers. If you have found resting elbows on your bed, your couch, your chair, whatever support structure you have, if you've found this to be a good fit for you, then stick with it. I'm going to start showing off a couple other variations that we can work with here. I'm just going to go ahead and put my hands on my support structure now, staying a little bit taller, a little bit more activation going on in the backside. Whatever works for you and gives your body the most engagement is really where I want you to be. So play around with it. See what variation is going to work best for you. We're going to get ready to jump into this left hip again. So let's make any adjustments we need to with our feet. I like that slight shift from 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock with my feet, really lateral shift into that left hip. Take my hand here, find that left hip, maybe drive it to the ground. Really feeling that loading pressure. I've got my right leg lifted slightly off the floor and slightly internally rotating that right leg as well. Really helping me pack this left hip back find that pressure. We're gonna get ready to rock in here too. Really good work here. As we get this rocking done, feel free to always pack this shoulder back and find length into that neck and shoulder area. We're gonna bring this right leg back and over, drop it on down to hold our pigeon. Once again, with the support structure, I'm gonna keep my hands here, really try and get nice and tall, but I don't wanna overextend here and let everything dump out the front end. You really can kind of take your hand here and make sure that your rib cage is tucked in and not flaring out. And then from that position, we can get even taller. Once again, pack that left shoulder back. As you pack the shoulder back, trying to bring the hip back with it, really finding some space and length here in the neck and shoulder area, feeling the lat activate here in the side, with a nice side bend, and even a big stretch on the right side. We kind of get like a little shoulder shrug on the right shoulder as we pack the left shoulder down. So feeling lots of activation here on the left side, a little bit of stretching on the right side. And we're at our minute mark. We're gonna come up and over, and we're gonna subtly fall back into our alternating side to side rockers. That left hip has now gone through 2 rounds, really starting to feel the big differences between each hip. And this is totally okay. Your hips are not gonna feel the same. They've gone through different lives, been treated differently, and asked to perform different tasks. So naturally, they're gonna have their own shape, form, and feeling. This is totally okay. It's a good thing to be aware of too. Maybe one hip needs a little bit more love than the other. You can try challenging yourself. I tend to really enjoy starting with my left hip. Tends to be the weaker hip for me, and I really enjoy starting with that hip and playing around with what I can do to find some equality between my hips. We're jumping into this right side iso hold. Done my lateral shift to the right, brought my feet from 6 to 7 o'clock. Just holding it here, packing that glute down, really putting work and pressure, force through the floor. Really trying to engage this hip as much as I can. Once again, now I'm internally rotating this left femur of mine, really trying to help aid the ability for this right hip to pack down and back and really hold the majority of this pressure. And then my hand on my glute, just another way for my body to be reminded of the areas that I'm looking to hold pressure and load at this time. We're gonna lift this left leg up and over now, come into this pigeon hold, using my structure to stay nice and tall, double check my ribs, pack my shoulder back, really finding a lot of strength and length in this position here. Really using my breathing to breathe into my back space, fill up the area between my shoulder blades, breathe into my lower back, really trying to find more expansion and decompression in this position for the hips and the back. Through that nice and controlled breathing. Got 5 more seconds here. I'm gonna bring this to the floor for our last round, just to give some variety for everyone. We've had support on our structure with elbows and torso kind of leaning on our support structure, really just allowing the hips to take the brunt of the load. Then I backed off and used the support structure with just my hands, helping me get a little bit taller, utilizing gravity as an aid to create more pressure in those hips. And now I've got hands on the floor. Just once again, another variation for you to play with, depending upon what your body is going to gravitate to best, is once again the position that you should go ahead and continue to work with. Always trying to find the maximum amount of pressure in our backside. Let's go ahead and find this left glute. I'm in my left hip. I'm going to take my feet, shift them from 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock, a little bit more of a lateral shift into that left hip. Now we've really got a good iso hold on this left side. Go ahead and check in with that hand. We're on our third round here, so things are getting a little spicy. This looks easy, but it's hard work. Let's go ahead and get ready to rock in this single side. If you want to, you can keep that opposite leg lifted up off the floor. If you need to rest it, you can. You can lift it up and rest it on the working leg. I really like to try and internally rotate that right femur and help me pack my left hip back. Just some gentle, gentle rocking. Scrubbing out that hip, finding that pressure, feeling strong. We're gonna get ready to bring this right leg all the way back and over. Sit into our pigeon, making any micro adjustments we need to make, making sure our hip is staying over our loaded leg. We don't want to fall over and dump into this side. I'll give you another angle here. We want to make sure we're staying loaded over this end. We don't want to fall over and be over here dumping in. We want to stay nice and strong and tall. Head over the column, packing the shoulder back, finding length here, finding space in the hips. You can go hands on the floor, bring that left hand in towards the knee, right hand out a little bit further. This can help. You can try and go on the tips of your fingers to get a little bit taller. Bring one hand back. Just playing around, utilizing our options here to find the best position for ourselves at this time. We are back to our alternating side-to-side rockers. We have half of a round left. This right hip just can't wait to get into this third round. Always being really mindful of our breathing. A lot of this work can be difficult and cause unwarranted tension if we're not mindful of our breath work. So it is very important that we're always being conscious of trying to breathe into our backside and really get confident, long, strong exhales to rid ourselves of some of the air and tension that we're holding on to. We're laterally shifting into this right hip. I'm just gonna keep my hands here on the floor, utilize some fingertips. I've got that left leg is elevated. Really packing this right hip down. Go over, rest my left leg on the back side here. Give you another angle, another view. Just kind of letting that leg rest as I pack in and work this right hip. We're gonna get ready to rock here in this right hip. We got 30 seconds of this single side rock, and then we're gonna bring it over to our last pigeon hold. Once again, these rockers don't have to be very big. They can just be little subtle scrub, waxing movements in that hip. Whatever the body needs, no more, no less. Let's bring this left leg up and over. Really good work here. We've got 10 seconds left. Make it count. Let's slowly gather ourselves, come up and out of this here. If you want to, you can jump into some more alternating side-to-side rockers to just kind of feel out both hips and see what this movement's done for you. You can bring it down into a seiza if this position is comfortable for you. And we can just kind of wax our hips out side to side here if this feels good. You can really bring it down into a child pose. This feels really nice, a little side to side, my child pose here. And if this is uncomfortable, causing pinching or cramping in the front side of the body, let's just go ahead and utilize our support structure to finish this off. Bring this back down, come over here, give some relief for the front side, open things up. Just say hello to our hips. Hips are feeling much stronger, much looser, more engaged than they did 20 minutes ago before we started this practice. I'd highly recommend that you jump into some traveling work or just go for a walk, explore how these new hips are feeling. This is your Recode level 1 rockers. Couple different variations here for you to play with. Once again, this was a follow-along video. I really hope that you were able to go through this Recode with me. I hope that you were able to find some good pressure, maybe find new feelings in your body you haven't felt before. Hopefully these are good feelings, and really excited to have you here with me, excited to get into the next level with you. Spend as much time in this level 1 as you need. Could be 1 week, could be a few weeks. Do this work and let this work serve you. Do not serve the work. Meaning, if you went through this Recode and you were having a hard time finding activation in the backside, there was lots of cramping and uncomfortable feelings going on through the duration of this Recode, that's not what we want, and it does nothing for you to just gut through that cramping and discomfort to get this work done. This work is here to serve you. If you did this Recode and there's all of this activation and new awesome feelings coming about, that's exactly what we're looking for, and I hope you can continue to keep doing that. This is your Rocker Level 1 Recode. Thanks for joining me today.